Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
And get ready to join today's conversation. Look, my friends, you are in for a great treat. On today's conversation, I'm honored to welcome back to the show Miss Jennifer Naperala. Now, previously, she was on as a candidate running for Chesapeake City Council. All right. She ran as an independent, and she is back because why? She cares about the city of Chesapeake. She's back running, but not for council. This time for Commissioner of Revenue. And I'm excited for one to bring her back because she's also a dear friend, but to also have her explain the position of Commissioner of Revenue, because I have shared in one of our newest segments that we launched here on the Arrington Gavin Show, what is the role and why is it important? And the genesis of that segment was to explain every single political position, starting from the local level, moving all the way up to the federal level, having a meaning and why, and explain why is it important. What's the importance of that role? And so we all know, of course, hey, we hear about federal politics all the time. We hear about what's going on in Washington, the whole 9 yards, but folks will ignore the politics that is occurring in their backyard, in their own backyard. Do you know how many folks don't know who their elected mayors are? Do you know how many folks don't know who their school board members are, or who serves on their as their a city treasurer or commissioner of revenue? I mean, it's sad, and not always fully blaming the people, because it's up to the folks in office to also stay engaged with members of the community. And that's what I always say time and time again. We have to keep our elected officials accountable 24/7. Look, Jennifer is a friend, but I guarantee you, if Jennifer does something wrong, I'm gonna have to talk about it, and she will be willing to receive. Hey, look, I got you, and that's how it's supposed to be, my friends. At the end of the day, those that serve our communities, they're public servants for a reason. They're here to serve the people. The people is who votes them in, and they have to make sure that they keep up to those promises that they make during the campaign seasons. Okay, so again, I'm very excited to have on Miss Jennifer Naperala on. Again, she is the Democratic candidate for Commissioner of Revenue. We're also going to discuss, hey, look, she's running against an incumbent, somebody that is no stranger to Chesapeake politics, Victoria Prophet, who is Commissioner of Revenue. She was elected, I believe, in 2021, but she also served as chairman of the school board. So she has a resume, right? She is familiar with how this game is played. So we're going to talk about it here at the Gavin Show. But before we move forward, I always have to thank you, all the listeners and viewers out there, for supporting the Arrington Gavin Show. For those who haven't been watching us right now on our YouTube channel, do me a favor, like, subscribe, share the you can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show on our YouTube channel, as well as you can check out past episodes of the Arrington Gavin Show on GoatVerse TV. That's right, GoatVerse TV. You can check it out by downloading the app. It's free. It's available in the App Store, Google Play Store, Roku, as well as Amazon Fire TV. And then, of course, you can listen to this program on the go wherever you get your podcasts. And lastly, you can also listen to the Arrington Gavin Show on the radio airwaves. Shout out to some of our partners, like in New Orleans, by way of WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Again, only on WBOK, 1230 a.m. And then we're going to move it on to the Metro Atlanta area to WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin show weeknights at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's only on WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk. Before we head to a commercial break, we're going to do a quick fun fact about our special guest, Miss Jennifer Naperala. So here's a great fun fact that I think y'all would really appreciate. So she is the person who brought basically, okay, let me break it down. You know how in the state of Florida, they're literally banning books. In addition to that, they're also trying to ban African-American studies in universities and schools, elementary all the way up to high school. And it's insane to me because we talk a lot about, Black history, this, Black history, that. For me, I'm like this. Black history is American history. I appreciate, the month of February, but in my family, in my life, Black history is every day. And so Black history is American history. So the fact that we live in a society where they're trying to avoid those conversations about American history is really insulting. So the reason why I'm bringing this as a fun fact about our guest is because she was the individual that brought AP African American Studies to Chesapeake public schools. Guess what the other public school districts are doing out of the 7 cities in Hampton Roads? Nothing. It's only Chesapeake. Now, I just want to acknowledge Chesapeake. Chesapeake is a very large city, but if you combine all of the residents in all the 7 cities, it's in the high millions. That's a lot of people, but only Chesapeake, because there was one warrior that said, hold up, we have to discuss this. We have to speak about this. This is part of learning. This, the more you know, the more you grow. And that's why not only is she a candidate running for Commissioner of Revenue, but in addition to that, she's a mother. As I mentioned, she's a teacher, and she's a longtime advocate for fairness in local government. So guys, I'm telling you, you're in for a treat. It's going to be a great conversation. It's crunch time. It is crunch time. It's in this election season. So I appreciate her taking the time out of her busy schedule to come here on the show. But my friends, look, we're going to take a quick breather here. You're listening to the Arrington Gavin Show. Do not go anywhere and do not change that dial. We'll be back with our special guest, Ms. Jennifer Naperala.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story, crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit, and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together, we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs, and we're gonna bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
What's up, y'all? Welcome now.
And we still in traffic.
Don't look familiar, do I? Not in this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up.
With me?
Yeah, this that new Goldverse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of that he said?
Introducing GoatVerse TV.
GoatVerse, that's what it's called.
The free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store. In Goats, we trust.
Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Order our scented beard oils and beard balms to help you maintain and grow the perfect beard. Order today. Try our men's care products like the full body exfoliating cleansing bars, body wash, smooth stash, and more. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. We're your luxury but affordable men's care line. And remember,
rugged is the new smooth.
All righty, my friends, welcome back to the Arrington Gavin show. I am your friend, your homie, Arrington Gavin, coming to you on this wonderful evening. As I mentioned, I have a special guest here, and I'm going to bring her on. Without further ado, let's bring on Democratic candidate for Chesapeake Democratic candidate for Commissioner of Revenue, Miss Jennifer Naperala. Jennifer, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Arrington. How are you?
I am doing awesome. It's always great when I get to have friends on the show, friends that again are trying to do great things for the city of Chesapeake. You're no stranger to the show. This is not your first time here. You previously was here as a candidate running for city council. Now you're back in the entering back into the lion's den in a sense, because politics is no fun avenue at all. I always love to ask folks the big question: why the hell are you entering into politics? It's like why it's so why? But I have to understand the passion, as I mentioned earlier, being an advocate for local government. And you say, hey, look, you see an issue. One thing, if Jennifer sees an issue, she's got to say something. She's got to make her voice heard, and probably even expand it even more. But for those who are again just now getting to know you, if you mind explaining with some of our audience, just to give us a little brief background about yourself.
Sure. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
In 2000, I started teaching for Chesapeake Public Schools, and really that's where I started identifying issues that really bothered me, that I would just work to fix, and eventually I began to realize some of the problems you can't solve at the school level. You have to go outside of the school, and you have to deal with the school system. So, and then even then, some of the issues are still not solvable at the school level or at the system level. So you have to go out into the city. The biggest example I can think of with that off the top of my head is our at-large voting system, which, as you know from last year, was one of the driving forces that got me into the campaign to run for city council, was this incredibly unfair voting system that we have in Chesapeake. And until we can turn things around and right that ship, no matter how hard people try to find a voice, they're just not going to have it. Yeah. So that is what finally really just not making things work at the level that I was able to make them work at, just kept pushing me higher and higher. So that's what got me to city council last year. And then this year, members of the Democratic Party reached out to me. I guess as an independent, I had a very strong showing. My vote total was strong. So the Democratic Party invited me to join their ticket this year as a candidate for Commissioner of the Revenue, which once I did an awful lot of research on what the actual task entails, I realized I can still work on my issues of equity and justice through the position. So I wound up deciding I'm going to go for it, and here I am.
If you don't mind me asking, could you explain the role of Commissioner of Revenue? Because that's one thing that I love to do here on the show, is really educate our audience and our listeners, because there are tons of positions in a local level that is like foreign to a lot of us residents that's been in the area for so long. I mean, I think publicly we always, we have a mayor, we have council members. You find out, oh, we have a school board. Okay, that's pretty much the ballpark. Then you start branching off to the sheriff, to the clerk of the court. I mean, there's so many, you know, important key positions. So, and like the commissioner of revenue. So if you don't mind explaining the role of a commissioner of revenue and why it's important for residents to have an understanding of that, you know, that position.
It is really important. So the commissioner of the revenue, when I knock doors, I tell people what I'm running for, and I say to them right away, it's the person that you hate because you get your personal property tax bill and it's going to have my name on the return address list. So, you know, that really is what citizens identify as commissioner of the revenue. But what the commissioner of the revenue is tasked to do in a nonpartisan way is to find sources of revenue for the city to keep the city as much in the black as they can. And that comes usually through personal property taxes on individuals and small businesses. That's typically how that works. Now, if I'm elected, with the uncertainty of funding at the state and national level, to me, it is absolutely imperative that we find new sources because people are already tapped out. And if we're losing SNAP benefits and if we're losing our medical benefits, we cannot look at people and ask them to support a city that is not supporting them. So to me, it is 100% essential that we find new sources of revenue so that we can protect our people from whatever is coming down the pike that we might not know about.
No, I couldn't agree more with that, because one thing, you know, a little history lesson to the listeners here about the city of Chesapeake, for those that are not from the area. You know, Chesapeake is not a, you know, it's not a inexpensive city to reside. It's again, I'm not bragging because I'm a lifelong Chesapeake resident, but out of the 7 cities, you have Virginia Beach, I think, at number 1, and then you have Chesapeake, and then you start moving on up. Like Chesapeake is very, very it can be difficult to live in Chesapeake, especially depending on, you know, positions of, you know, occupation. Like, you know, for myself, I'm a small business owner in Chesapeake and I'm a resident, so it's like it's a lot coming from Chesapeake. Now Jennifer, you're running for commissioner of revenue. You do not have an easy race because you are running against incumbent Victoria Prophet, who, as I mentioned earlier, is a I don't want to, you know, use the word career politics because a lot of folks can get kind of offended by that, but she is a familiar face in Chesapeake politics. She's served as the school board chair from 2018 to 2021, and then she was elected in 2021 as commissioner of revenue and has been in that position ever since. So with that, you know, task as, okay, look, like where's the mindset coming out? You know, I think I have what it takes to run for this position, and I get it. You had a great turnout as an independent candidate in the council race, because see, y'all here in Chesapeake, and I've always had it's funny because I've always had kind of like the disagreement with our local Democratic chair, who's a friend of the show. Dave is a buddy of mine. I've always considered Chesapeake fairly red, in my opinion, on a local level. And so running as a independent, I mean, you're either gonna, like I said, you're either gonna run red or blue really in office. So you rarely see independent candidates succeed further, but you did a solid job without having backing of any party at that time when you're running for council. And it was a great turn, even though it didn't turn out the way you wanted to. It was a successful turnout. But when the idea or when the passion comes, okay, I think commissioner of revenue is the task. How's that mindset? Was this something that you spoke with your family prior to running? Like, how did that go? Because, like I said, you have a tough opponent there.
I do. I spoke to my family extensively about it, and they're very supportive of me. The office, Commissioner of the Revenue's office, I think has about 40 to 50 employees. And that is something that the incumbent kind of is something that she refers to frequently.
Mm-hmm.
It's my opinion that an office of 40 to 50 employees or 40 to 60 employees should be running much more efficiently than it is. There should be absolutely no backlog in paperwork. There should be absolutely no one waiting for any sort of refund from the city. However, we have people who are months and months behind. So the thought of, yes, I am challenging someone who is been elected to public office, but I do not believe that she is doing a better job than I will do if I am elected. I cannot fathom letting anything fall through the cracks or fall as far behind as that office has fallen behind with a staff that large, with that kind of a budget. It just, to me, is unconscionable. I don't understand how it's even happened. So yes, the incumbent has held office before, but the incumbent has not done anything that I haven't done myself or can't do also.
That kind of ties me into the next question, Jennifer. You having a background in education, you are an educator here in the Chesapeake Public Schools. For a voter that is trying to get to know both candidates, right? Trying to decide, the current incumbent, the current commissioner of the revenue, has a background that for most folks will say, okay, is relatable for this position, right? Because commissioner of revenue, and I would say what city treasurer kind of works together in unison. So for those to say, okay, I don't know if this person's qualified, for this role. How do you respond to, doubters like that, because they exist in the city?
Well, I respond to that in two ways. My first response is I assume that one of the questions comes because her experience, she was a math teacher and I am an English teacher. However, I am certified to teach AP economics, and other fields of math. My first love is language and words, and that's just where I have spent the bulk of my career. But that doesn't mean that I am unqualified to manage a budget. And furthermore, I have never had I've never had complications with my job, with the responsibilities that come with my job, that I would argue are more public and more intense than someone who works behind a closed door. So I don't fear that, and I don't feel that I am any less qualified than someone who was elected to the position 3 years ago and was a math teacher.
I hear you. With you've mentioned that the issues that you have seen happening with the backlog and the complications in office, and residents not being aware of these issues. How do you, as a say as commissioner of the revenue, how do you change that? How do you bring on that relationship between community and the office? How do you keep folks engaged? Because I think that's a big issue that a lot of voters have right now, is like there is no communications. Like, I'm unaware. I didn't know we were doing this. I didn't know we were doing that. And like, how do you stay engaged and keep a relationship among, with what's going on in your office and the residents?
So one of the first things that I did when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to run for this position was talk to as many people as I could, peers, people who are above me on the food chain, people who are below me on the food chain, as many people as I could talk to. And by food chain, I just mean like economic status, really. And I really boiled down people's concerns to three things. People are concerned about service, they're concerned about transparency, and they're concerned about relief. So when I And underneath those three umbrellas, there are sub issues. So, for example, transparency, where I'm providing all this money to the city in my personal property taxes, and yet nothing is happening in my neighborhood. I have no sidewalks. I have no mosquito control. Meanwhile, there are these brand new neighborhoods that are going up in other parts of the city that are seeing all of these benefits. So, as far as transparency goes, I'm of two minds. One, immediately I will set up forward-facing social media sites so people can understand where and how their money is being spent. I'm also toying with the idea of like opt-in text messages or emails, but I'm not sure what the cost would be to the city for that. So that's something that I would have to wait until I got into office to see if I could do. But the social media, that's a no-brainer. That's free. That's something that people can sign up for, and they'll have access to that kind of information. As far as transparency also goes, another thing that I heard about from people is that they don't know when deadlines are. They don't know when things are due. They don't know when late payments are going to start accruing. That is such an easy fix through these social media sites, through just a website that is updated. The website that we currently have, the commissioner's website, is very out of date. As a matter of fact, when I first started trying to find out, I was comparing the business license renewal process for Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, and everything that I compared was false because Chesapeake's website is completely out of date.
Wow.
So, there are these
I thought it was just me. No, I'm joking.
No. So there are these free fixes that are available to us that won't cost the city anything, that will provide people with information that will help them feel more in control of what is happening to their money when they pay their taxes.
Wow.
The majority of everyone that I've spoken to, I don't think anyone minds paying taxes. I don't mind paying taxes. What I do mind is not knowing where my taxes are going and how my taxes are being managed.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the city is falling short. And that is what one of the three things that I'm pledging to bring into the office. So that along with the service of understanding where our money is being spent, another super easy free fix is providing community-based workshops around the city that are free to our residents, that are almost free to the city to provide. For example, financial literacy, retirement planning. For people who are interested in entrepreneurship, now this I have a note written down, the small business and supplier diversity designations, the SWAM, we can bring people for free from the state down to the city to offer workshops to people who are interested in setting up their own business through the licensing process to get those designations, learning what the steps are and when things are due, that will incentivize people to set up businesses here in Chesapeake, to kind of smooth out that process. So there are services, and all of those things are at almost no cost to the city, and they would be completely free to our residents.
I think that is very, very important, Jennifer, because again, as a business owner, I always think it's essential to have anything that can help educate local business owners here in Chesapeake, and then also too, as you mentioned, bring in more businesses in the city, because we have a small. I think we have not a large count of locally owned businesses in the city of Chesapeake. We have a lot of corporate businesses that, sometimes they stay, sometimes they leave, and then we're sitting with vacancies, and that's not a good look. Just, it's an eyesore in a sense when you're driving around the city. But education is always key. I share here on the show that, look, I will forever be a student, because I'm learning every single day when things are this and that and the other, and having those workshops will be beneficial. Not only will it be a great networking for folks, but also, again, great learning. And I think residents will appreciate that, because they're like, okay, we love these workshops. We're staying engaged. We're aware of what's going on in our communities, and I really like that idea. Then going back to knowing where our tax dollars are going to, the first thing I can always think of in the back of my head was back when all of a sudden we no longer had curbside recycling as like it was the funniest. It was funny, but it was sad at the same time, because I can remember seeing my neighbors, all of our recycling bins just start stacking up like towers, and I'm like, they still didn't come. And no one told us. No one brought to our attention. Then it's like, okay, if you want to keep this, it's going to be a fee. But another friend of mine who was a lifelong Chesapeake resident that eventually moved out to Suffolk said, I remember we lost a privilege, and our taxes still increased. Like, I mean, it's like we lost something, but nothing changed in that. So shouldn't that be taken away? And I think that's where the massive disconnect comes with. Again, I go with, council and the people. And you mentioned it before, which I know it's not a big proponent within your campaign, but just kind of the sidebar about the whole single member voting system is just because that accountability, right? That's just my 2 cents there. But you talked heavily on the transparency part, which I think is key. Especially, I mean, hey, I'm critical on both sides of the aisle with staying transparent with people. I think we're living in such a critical and very just tough political climate right now, where you mentioned folks that are retired. They don't know if they still have health insurance, if they still have their Social Security. We're currently in real time now. It could change once folks continue to tune into this episode, but in real time, we're still under a shutdown, right? And Hampton Roads is made up of a lot of federal workers and government workers, and so it's pretty difficult. It's very difficult. Now you mentioned that one service about the workshops. Is there more services that, hey, within your campaign you're hoping to put out to the city, if say if elected as Commissioner of Revenue? Is there more services that you would like to at least pitch out to the community?
Yes, they might also though fall under the umbrella of relief. I can maybe like segue over into that area. 2 things. Our personal property taxes. So, one other thing that I've been hearing a lot is the delay. So personal property taxes, we get the bill and we have to pay them by June 15th. Sometimes we don't get the bill until the end of May or the beginning of June. Corey Kring, who's running for treasurer, and I have already discussed offering personal property tax payments in installments so that people do not have to come up with this chunk of money to pay for. You've got car payments, you've got your house payment or your rent payment, and then you've got a personal property tax payment all in the same month. So there's absolutely no reason that the city can't break those up for residents who want that. So that's one thing that we're looking at doing. As far as a brand new source of revenue, one thing that I'm very interested in exploring are medical marijuana dispensaries. We're the only locality that does not have one. However, we have patients in the city with medical marijuana cards who drive to Norfolk or drive to Portsmouth and Virginia Beach, and they get their prescriptions filled and bring it right back here.
Wow.
I don't understand why we've got this brand new VA clinic up on Nels Ridge Road that's set off Battlefield. It's not like right in the middle of the city. And if we were to provide a service like that's revenue that the city currently doesn't have at all. So that would be a brand new source of revenue that hopefully could offset some of the pain that we might be experiencing in the future.
Wow. That blew my mind right there, because I guess it always frustrates me when I see successful things happening in other cities, and we're literally neck and neck with everybody. Like it literally we're next door. Like they could easily say, hey, let's pick up this idea. So the fact that it's successful in multiple cities, why isn't it not benefiting here? And you mentioned we have patients that literally have to commute outside of the city to get their, to get their medicine. And that's unfortunate. Also, when you mentioned about the personal property taxes, that right there can really be a reason for folks to, I don't know, leave Hampton Roads or leave. I mean, again, it's money, any added fees is like, oh my gosh, you're killing me, Chesapeake, you're killing me. I mean, a lot of folks, I'm trying to remember, I was at a function and a lady was speaking about her daughter had just graduated, who she was from Chesapeake, she just graduated, got a job, but she can't afford to live in Chesapeake, so she has to live in Suffolk, but she works in Chesapeake. So I'm like, wow, that is a hump, that back and forth going on. And my wife, who comes from her home area, is her home state is I'll say it's a red state, which didn't have property taxes. So when she first received her, she's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's personal property tax." I'm like, "Well, welcome to the Commonwealth, baby. Welcome to the Commonwealth." She's like, "What is this?"
I know. It is
I don't know.
a crazy, crazy curse. Now, I will say this: I've been seeing a lot of political ads from the governor on down about getting rid of the car tax. I have done so much research. I do not think it is possible. I don't want to say that these folks are, I don't think anyone's lying to us, but I do not think it is possible. Our economy is so dependent on those taxes that without some other source of revenue, it's just not going to be possible to replace that. So yes, I would love to make it go away, but no, I'm not insane enough to make a promise that I'm certain I cannot fulfill if I am elected. It just seems madness.
Oh yeah, no, understand. And I told my wife, I'm like, hey, look, you lose one thing, trust and believe it's coming out of some other budget. A lot there, Texas, South Carolina, they're not saying it. They're just, because their goal is to continue to bring more and more people to move to their states. You mentioned technology. Well, actually, Jennifer, what we're going to take a quick commercial break. And after that commercial break, I want to talk a little more about really the tech piece on how it can really, how to utilize the technology and in the local side of things, how it can be beneficial to residents. And in addition to that, for those that are not tech savvy, because we have a lot of residents here in Chesapeake that are of a certain age where it's like, I'm not doing texting and this and that and the other. So it will be an alternative. Or if you, and again, you mentioned candidate Corey, I'm blanking on the Corey Crane. I always want to say Corey King, Corey Crane. If y'all have, spoken or heard folks ask those questions about, hey, look, I'm not techie, but is there another alternative if that's an option that might be a little difficult? So hold the answer. We're going to take a commercial break. My friends, you are listening to the Arrington Gavin Show. Look, do not go anywhere. We got a lot of show for you. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Order our scented beard oils and beard balms to help you maintain and grow the perfect beard. Order today. Try our men's care products like the full body exfoliating cleansing bars, body wash, smooth stash, and more. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. We're your luxury but affordable men's care line. And remember,
rugged is the new smooth.
Let me tell you something that most people get wrong about suits. A suit isn't just about you wearing it. It's how you show the world who you are. It's your handshake before you say a word, your presence when you step into any room. That's why we design statements at Dapper Luke. We don't just make suits. We'll start with the fabrics that tell your story, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends sourced from the finest mills in Italy, the UK, and India. Then we'll combine that with your vision, your personality, and your style. Every detail is tailored to you, from the fit to the finish. Whether for your wedding, a gala, the boardroom, we specialize in creating custom suits that are unique, just like the men who wear them. We spent years perfecting this craft, apprenticing under designers in New York and showcasing collections in New York and for Baltimore Fashion Week. None of that matters as much as seeing the look on your face when you try on your custom suit. Over 900 clients have already trusted us to deliver the best custom suits. They trust me to deliver the confidence. We proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore and would be honored to bring your vision to life next. Let's create something unforgettable. Book your free consultation today at www.gapperluke.com.
All right, my friends, welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm joining with Ms. Jennifer Naperala, Democratic candidate for Chesapeake Commissioner of the Revenue. And look, we are here discussing all things, in my opinion, that most folks should have an understanding and really focus on. City treasurer, commissioner of revenue. Again, why? Because it's dealing with money. And I don't know about you guys. I like to hear all things when it comes to taxes, taxes, as well as things that can help benefit me as a resident and as well as a small business owner. Again, you know, the phrase, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So I'm hearing a lot of stuff that makes sense in this conversation. I don't know about you all, but before we made it to a commercial break, before we went to a commercial break, excuse me, I asked a question, Jennifer, about with technology rapidly changing how local government operates. You know, how do you plan to use the innovation to improve taxpayer services? So I know you've mentioned about you mentioned social media in earlier in the conversation. I don't know if we specifically shared exactly how it could operate or benefit the benefit, but if you don't mind sharing again how technology can be resourceful.
The social media for me is just the easiest way to keep people aware of what is going on in the office. So deadlines, when bills are coming out, how their taxes are being spent, just as sort of a way to keep people informed. However, the website, the actual like conduit to get a hold of the city, that technology, I think is in the process of being updated. I keep hearing we're going to be able to pay bills online. We're going to be able to do personal property tax and so forth, which all of these things will be great if people want that option. I do think, like you say, there are a lot of folks, my mom included, who would, she's not giving anybody information. She's not putting anything into that computer that, she's going to write a check and she's going to put it in the mail. So the option has to stay, you can go paperless or we can pay bills via the mail. But one thing that I do think there's a lot of potential, and I don't want to sound like Elon Musk here, but if we've got this office that is running more efficiently thanks to technology, I would imagine that the cost of labor eventually will go down. As AI becomes more prevalent and as AI takes over more and more tasks, especially when it comes to balancing budgets and so forth, I do think that there is potential probably to reduce that workforce in there a little bit. Or what might be better for everyone, especially the people who are employed there, is to reimagine their positions so that instead of trying to deal with whatever the backlog is, we can find places for folks where their strengths might be running programs that are community based, because we're going to need to staff those. So rather than trying to reinvent the wheel or rather than overtasking people, we can relieve some of that burden with technology and then utilize our people to work with people as it should be. So
I think, I hear you on that one. And then, it's funny when you said, like you said, your mom is not big on technology. It's funny. My mother's the same way. You have the opportunity to meet her once at a bunch. She is the same. She is not. She will let you know, I'm not tech savvy, nor do I want to learn. She's like, I am good. And she begins to learn a little bit here and there, but I understand how folks can be a little anxious, especially when it deals with billing and stuff, because a lot of things now are paperless, right? People rarely receive bills. I still like to receive my bills in the mail. My wife is a person that likes to receive everything in her phone and through text. I'm like, oh God, you're killing me. But I understand that's the future. And in addition to that, I wanted to ask a question, and maybe this as an educator too. What's your, and this is no relations to your campaign really, but what's your take on AI? I know AI is continue to grow around really worldwide. It's it's not going anywhere. It's continuing to expand. Do you look at it as a good thing? Do you look at it as a bad thing? Do you look at it as, hey, look, it's a great resourceful tool, but it should not be something we should always put all of our eggs in one basket kind of thing?
I think for me personally as a teacher, I think I've been in the game long enough. I really don't use AI very much. I have colleagues who use it for everything. In my classroom, it is poison. It is taboo. It is not. I'll get off my soapbox in a second. But, the kids have these school issued Chromebooks. They come into my room. They don't open it. They don't use them. We read out of a book. We turn pages. They write on paper. And when they have to answer questions, they have to use the book. So, and I tell them all the time, you're making your brains wrinkly. It's like smooth brain versus wrinkle brain. And and this is kind of conspiracy theory of me, but whoever owns AI, whoever is in charge of AI is only going to know what we teach it. So, for example, the AP African American Studies class that is kind of frowned on in so many districts for no reason whatsoever, other than its history. What if AI isn't fed information that we need in order to have a fully fleshed out understanding of our history? So to me, I always think, oral history was so important for so long, especially in African American history. And I see myself thinking about how important it is to listen to people who lived through the civil rights movement, who understand what it's like to have fought for something and to have struggled. It's different than reading it out of a book, and it's way different than Googling it and getting some 3-sentence summary. So for me, AI in the classroom, I don't know. There might be some discipline that can justify it and find some value in it, but for me, I'm just not there. Maybe it's my age. I don't know. But to me, there's value in a printed book and having conversations about the material that is in that printed book, and then writing about it with a pen.
I got you. And I was just, and again, not trying to get off topic on your race, but that was just something that's when you mention AI, and I know I have a lot of friends that are educators that are also, it has mixed reviews. Some are all for it, some are totally against it, can't stand it. And so I'm just always curious when I come across an educator to ask their take on it. But going back to your campaign, let's talk about community and fairness, right? We talk a lot about staying engaged, transparency. Chesapeake has a diverse population and economy, right? So now, how will you ensure fairness and equity in tax assessments as well as services?
So I have been one area that I really want to explore is if a person is making under a certain amount of money, I don't think that it's fair that that person is taxed at the same rate as someone who is making, twice as much money on their personal property. However, that's going to be something that I'm going to have to learn as I get into office and understand the dynamics and the legalities of what I can and cannot do. But if there is a way that I could graduate, okay, this vehicle is this old. Why are we still taxing this person on this car? This person has a boat that they use, to go fishing once a month that's got a little tiny motor. Why are we taxing this person on a 25-year-old boat? So for issues like that, I really would like to grandfather out vehicles that have, if the resale value is almost nothing, why are we taxing them over and over and over? So they've bought the same car 6 times over the course of however many years. So I'm very interested in trying to find ways to relieve people who are lower income and are not, we spoke earlier that I've never purchased my own car. So, and I'm paying property taxes on these super old cars that I know I've bought these cars so many times. So it just seems to me counterproductive. It's great for the city, but for the people who live in the city who are paying taxes on something that really has very little value, I would like to find a way to provide relief. If that could be eliminated, that would be something that's a no-brainer.
Well, and it goes back to it goes back to your word, and I think a lot of voters will, on either side of the aisle, will truly respect that answer, because we go back to I go back to the word you use, transparency, and the fact of the matter is, okay, those taxpayer dollars, a lot of residents are unaware of where it's going to. It's like if it's going to something that is very, like, I'll use myself as a guinea pig. If I knew that my taxpayer, or a portion of my taxpayer dollar, is going to we're starting a pro sports team, just because I'm a sucker for that right now, or an entertainment venue, I would love to, tax away. If I get to witness an entertainment venue, if I get to, like, I understand, but I'm just not seeing where is this going towards. And so I think a lot of folks would really appreciate that message that you just gave, because you can drive around Chesapeake and you do see a lot of older vehicles, or folks that have been in their homes for years, and it's just like, again, you want to like, how can I put it? You want to take some burden off of our retired folks and our seniors, right? Our seniors, really, that's a demographic that, and I don't speak about it a lot on this show, but seniors is a large demographic that feels very overlooked and ignored. And so I think that's a really, really big thing. I'm looking at my time. I think I have maybe 2 more questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
Let's see here. Okay. How would you handle situations where citizens disagree with their assessments or feel they've been treated unfairly? Because we know, I don't say we know, but we can agree on that. Being an elected official, there are going to be times where people like you. There are going to be some times where people can't stand you. And you mentioned earlier when you were canvassing and saying, look, I'm running for the position most likely you hate, but how would you maneuver, and how would you handle situations like that? Because there are going to be a lot of hostile folks that are coming at your desk or coming at your office.
So I actually am kind of excited to answer this question. I had the opportunity to interview with Phil Kellum, who is the Commissioner of the Revenue in Virginia Beach. He gave me maybe 2 hours of his time at the beginning of all this when I was learning. And first of all, I would encourage people to challenge their personal property tax assessments. That to me, that's what government is for, and that is an individual's right to do so. Phil Kellum's office has these private, so you don't have to stand in line and like argue with the teller about your assessment. He's got a series of offices that generally sit empty unless someone is there to discuss an assessment. And in that case, a specialist will come in, an employee from the office, and sit with the person and hear them out and give them a chance to explain why they're there, why they think the assessment is wrong, and how they would like the assessment adjusted. Now, he doesn't promise they're always going to get their way, but he
Mm-hmm.
certainly has an open door policy for people to come in and be
Wow.
heard. And I think that's really, really important. Whether or not the person leaves with the answer that they want, they will at least be heard and they will understand why the answer is what it is.
I understand. And I'm aware, I know I've never personally met Phil Kellum, but he is someone who has had that role as Commissioner of Revenue for the
Yes.
city of Virginia Beach for quite some time. He is a very seasoned dude in that position. And again, Virginia Beach, is a premier city in the state of Virginia. Last question I do want to ask you, Jennifer, as we close this conversation. Well, let me first for those who are watching, let me provide a hold up here. Let me do this for you. Hold tight. I want to provide your site for folks who are again getting to know you, or also those that are outside of the area that are just looking to want to contribute to your campaign and cause. For those who are listening though, how can folks get in touch with you and all that great stuff?
Through my website, I think there's a link on there that says reach out to me. My email is jennifer@jennifernap.com. So it's super easy to reach me. And I am the way that I have familiarized myself with this position and the way that I've become confident in what I do find necessary to adjust has been through talking to people and learning from people. So anyone who wants to reach out with a question or a suggestion, I encourage it. That's the reason I've gotten as far as I have in this process. So please feel free to reach out with a question or a suggestion.
Awesome.
I would love that.
Awesome. And I said I have one more question left, but actually I have another one. So let me see. We got about I'll say 60 to 90 seconds. Why should Chesapeake voters vote for Jennifer Naperala as their next Commissioner of Revenue?
Because I firmly believe that city government should run for the people, not the other way around. There is no reason the office of the Commissioner of the Revenue should not be an office of obligations. It should be an office of opportunity. And that is what I intend to turn it into. So people should vote for me because I am a working class person who understands working class issues. And I want to make the city stronger and better for all of us.
And you know what? And I think residents appreciate that. That's what we're living in a world now where folks want to see some new ideas. They want to see some new faces, in office. So Jennifer, as always, I appreciate you taking the time out your busy schedule, because I know this is stressful times, and not even just that, but I know it's crunch time when it comes to these races. We have big races happening in the city of Chesapeake, but really just in Hampton Roads. And I know you've been front and center at every single one. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. Look, don't go anywhere, because I do want to chop it up with you just for a couple minutes after the show. But again, don't be a stranger to the show as well. Best of luck to you on your campaign. And
Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, Arrington. Thank you.
Absolutely. My friends, as always, I hope you enjoyed another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Again, we have fun here, but we also want to keep you informed of just this world we called politics, this thing we call politics, and local government too. And local government is extremely important. So my friends, look, do me a favor, continue to stay informed. Tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights available on all digital and streaming platforms. And get out there and vote if you haven't. And please, I don't want to hear it that I don't think I want to vote. No, do so. Get out there, vote. That is your voice. That is your power. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace and blessings. I'm out.
That That's it for tonight on the Arrington Gavin Show. Thanks for tapping in and keeping the conversation alive. Don't forget, stay connected with us on all platforms. Follow at Arrington Gavin on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X, and subscribe to the official Substack for exclusive takes and deep dives you won't get anywhere else. We're here every weeknight, same time, same energy, same real talk. Until next time, stay bold, stay sharp, and stay true. That's what we do on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace.